on.
Welcome. Thank you for joining me today on Kingdom of Healing. This is Kimberly Mateo, and I'm a certified naturopath and master herbalist. I started my journey into natural healing in 1977. So for those of you seeking advice, hopefully it's my hope that 37 years experience will help you or a loved one overcome your health challenges. Last show, I was going through the 16 cancer-causing foods and ended on number 9. So I just kind of want to review just quickly what those first 9 were that I talked about on the last show. So number 1 of the cancer-causing foods, number 1, first place, is microwave popcorn. Number 2 is non-organic produce, herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, canned produce. And that a lot has to do with the lining inside the cans because it releases BPAs into the food. 4 was processed meats, because of a lot of nitrates and nitrites. Farm-raised salmon and other fish. Your fish should always be wild-caught. Don't buy anything that is farm-raised. 60% of the salmon that's farm-raised, they're fed foods that are GMOs, and they're full of chemicals, antibiotics, and pesticides. The other thing here is potato chips, and just the high temperature of frying to create the crispiness. It creates a lot of destruction to that particular food. Then 7 was hydrogenated oils. 8, nitrates and nitrites. They're in a lot of smoked foods and pickled foods, so you really need to read your labels on that. 9, of course, was white flour, and it's stripped of all of its nutrients. It doesn't have its B complex anymore once it's processed. It is literally pretty much a dead food. The other thing is the gluten in the wheat nowadays is it's not like it was originally intended to be. So that is what is creating a lot of the problems with the people who are gluten intolerant. So we're going to talk about number 10 is GMO, and I'm going to finish up 10 through 16. And then I want to talk about some of these ballot issues this November that you're going to be voting on. And they have to do with GMO labeling. So there's a lot of things that I want to share with you concerning that to help you out on that decision of actually casting the right vote and not the vote because of all of the double talk, and we'll talk more about that. So number 10 in the 16 highest carcinogenic foods in our diet is the GMOs. And there's a lot of talk saying that, nothing has been proved in any scientific studies that GMO-altered foods are dangerous. But, there have been a lot of studies. And the most recent study was one in Scotland that documented the health of all of the GMO potatoes. And all of the test rats, they showed damage to the immune system. They had precancerous cell growths, atrophying brains and livers, and this was all documented in the first 2 days of the project. The FDA currently has no testing procedures for GMO foods. There's none at all. GMO foods transfers to the DNA in the bacteria in our digestive systems. So we're guinea pigs in the U.S., almost all were fed grains, soybeans, wheat, corn, barley, and GMO. And, the test studies of all of the animals that are involved in these studies are showing very quickly a deterioration of their health. And we're also guinea pigs in what's going on with all of this in the foods. And we will, talk about the issues of, the reason for the ballot issues. But a lot of the misinformation powered by money is behind, trying to keep everybody really confused. So, GMO foods, it's proving that there is an altering of the DNA. And, we alter the DNA and things start mutating and diseases develop. And we also, in childbearing age, we pass, if cells start to mutate and change in our body, our DNA, we pass that on to our child, to the
yes,
unborn.
we do.
And so the consequences of that, we already know what the consequences were with Agent Orange.
Right.
And with the GMO foods, now the blue coating
Of the corn seeds,
Yes.
or actually a lot of the seeds anymore.
Right. That blue coating is chemicals. And, just to remind you that it was just back in August. It was back in August when, or was it June, when the USDA approved gave Monsanto the okay to add the 2,4-D, which is the 50% component of the makeup of Agent Orange,
Right.
into the equation with the Roundup.
And supposedly want us to believe that it's safe for us.
Yeah, so that is one big fat lie. But but when I start sharing with you some of the money that has been fed into this campaign, it's staggering.
Well, there's quite a few commercials out there right now that, if you listen to them at face value, you go, oh yeah, you're right, I know, but
But if you know different,
but you really got to understand what they're saying,
yeah,
because
that's true.
that's the important part.
Is to
That's
be able
two
to
different
understand.
meanings.
Yeah, very much so.
What you
And,
hear and what
hey,
they're
it's-
actually saying.
It's election time, but come on, you really got to kind of read between the lines because there's a lot of malarkey out there.
Yes, it is.
To be really nice about it. Number 11, of course, is refined sugar. And I've talked about this before. A friend of mine used to work he was a machinist at a sugar beet factory. And, he worked on the equipment. And the sugar beets were processed at 2,500 degrees in order for them to make white powdery sugar. And you think about that, and there's absolutely no nutrition. It's a completely total dead food. Sugar cane has nutrient. Beets, of course, beets are fabulous.
But a lot of them are turning out to be GMO
They're
as
GMO
well.
now also.
So
yes.
you got to be
the
very
sugar-
careful. Now,
So the food chain.
may I say something? I've been waiting 2 weeks to make this comment to you because
okay.
The last show that you were on, I made this comment and I had a point to my comment, but I
okay.
kind of stopped it in the middle and I didn't finish my doggone point. And then so I felt stupid for these past 2 weeks and I couldn't wait to
God.
get
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't wait to get on there to finish
Okay.
my point. But
Okay.
you're talking about the sugars, and I told you that I had switched over from the white sugar to the pure cane sugar.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the shows that you were talking about that, all the living things have an aura around it.
Right.
Okay, and you can just tell under that microscope. Well, the one thing that I love about that, the pure cane sugar, is that you can tell that it's so much cleaner, so much clearer, and you can tell that if you were to just put it underneath that microscope, it'd have that aura to it, you know, because I just love how it tastes, man.
Well, there's nutrients still that are present in that, and that is what, you know, gives off the energy. And everything does have an energy field, and that energy field is called an aura. And everything has it. Even a rock has it. That's where your crystals and things like that. There's energy with stones as well. So, yeah. So, no, that's very true. And the white sugar, what's important to remember is it feeds yeast. It feeds candida.
Oh, yeah,
it
that
feeds
was
cancer cells.
That was another thing that I had said, that, you know, the cane sugar kind of floats in the coffee and on my cereal, right? Which I kind of like, because you can tell that the white sugar dead just drops to the bottom and floats, lays there.
Yeah.
You know, you
Exactly.
it's a huge difference, man. I tell you, I've been impressed ever since I've changed over. So.
Very good, and it's, you know, you've got to change over things just a little bit at a time. You know, if you get too crazy, if you start throwing it all out, I think, you know, I had shared before where, you know, my old man come home and he was like, "What are you doing?" The living room was filled with boxes. The dogs were at the back door. You know, we'd bought a side of beef, and, you know, I was feeding all this meat to the dogs. And he was like, "Oh, jeez," you know. And then my mom said, of course, you know, her secretary would take all that food. I couldn't give it to the secretary. I knew the secretary. I wasn't going to send him home with food I was throwing away because it wasn't any good for my family. But I wanted to send it home.
I am not going to be responsible.
It's like, geez, no. It's garbage. So, you know, the next thing, number 12, is the artificial sweeteners. And there's a lot of information now, you know. There's some people with high consumption of the artificial sweeteners, the NutraSweet, the Splenda, what's the other one? There's another one that they have out there. But, you know, they contribute. They actually contribute to weight gain. They, you know, they cause cataracts. They cause paralysis in the gastrointestinal tract as well as in, you know, limbs. I mean, you know, people have had their legs not able to use them. You know, severe migraine headaches where, you know, you lose your vision. I mean, this is stuff from taken in, you know, Splenda, NutraSweet, you know, these artificial, you know, they're, you know, they break down as formaldehyde in the liver, and you know, just along with lead, mercury, you know, formaldehyde is that's a poison, and that makes me think of years ago, I had found out that morticians use less embalming fluid with people than they used to decades ago, because we are pretty much embalmed by the time we die.
Really? Now,
as far as with, you know, formaldehyde and all these other chemicals.
Hey, Richard, if you're listening,
your
call me
blood
back and let me know if that's true, man. Nancy's brother is a mortician, so if you're listening, I would love to know if that's true or not.
Yeah, you need to. She needs to ask him about it. Yeah, and because he's, you know, some access to, you know, what they used to do. You know, so. But yeah, you know, it's a food that brings enough people into emergency rooms with very serious symptoms of side effects from taking in the artificial sweeteners. You know, they're excitotoxins. I've talked about excitotoxins before, and excitotoxin is a poison that irritates the cell so much to the point that the cell dies. That's an excitotoxin. So it has that effect in the central nervous system. It's an excitotoxin. So you don't want to be ingesting something that, literally interferes with the function of the cell, and the cell dies just from how toxic the breakdown of that is in the body. So bad stuff. Fat-free, low-fat, number 13. They're not good for your health. It's a fact that, fake fats, when they went through the craze in the 90s of fat-free diets.
Right.
Everything was fat-free, and they came up with all this imitation fat. It was all a bunch of chemicals. And, there was a rise in gallbladder surgeries.
Interesting.
So in order to keep that gallbladder flushed and clean, you need good lemon water, but olive oil. Olive oil is just such a good fat in the body, and then flaxseed as well, coconut oil. But for years and years, olive oil has been available before some of these other, things that are available now. And actually, it was 20, 30 years ago, they were talking about how bad coconut oil was for you. And coconut oil is not bad for you. It's fabulous.
To me, you just got to get it at the right dosage, because I do not like the coconut burps.
The coconut burps.
If I get it at the right dosage, then I don't get that. But
okay.
That's why I'm so nervous about trying other people's coconut oil stuff, because usually they give me the burps.
Okay.
So, and I don't like that.
And you don't like that. Might have to drink some ginger tea before maybe you have samplings of the food. But our body needs good fats, and fats break fats down. So if you have these imitation fats, or you don't have enough fat in your diet, then your liver is going to start creating more fat if you're not eating enough, or if your body isn't able to break fats down. Then high lipase is an enzyme, that you can get at kingdomofhealing.com, that helps to break fats down. And then there's other digestive aids, the food enzymes and stuff that help to break them down. But, the thing is the fat-free and low-fat, the low-fat foods don't even taste good.
Right.
Low-fat yogurt tastes really sour, but you get, the 4% milk fat or all the milk fat in it, and it has a much creamier taste to it. So, but okay, so number 13 is fat-free, low-fat. They're not good for you, and those who consumed fake fat products have had a problem with the liver producing too much fats, too much cholesterol. They end up with a high cholesterol level, and they're wondering, why do I have a high cholesterol level when I'm eating a low-fat diet? It's because, it's not a diet that your body can use.
So what's an example of a high?
Your corn oils, plus their, fat-free is no fat.
Right.
And then low-fat is where, like, your skim milk.
Okay.
Which milk's not really good for you anyway. We're the only nation that consumes milk after, we've weaned the child.
Really? Because I go through milk like crazy.
It should be goat milk. It should be going through goat milk. Or, it's really easy to make your own almond milk.
That's
very easy. You buy, raw almonds. You just soak them overnight.
Interesting.
And a little bit of Himalayan salt, not much, and some alkaline water, and about 3 cups of. You got to hydrate those almonds up by soaking them.
Okay.
And then take about 3 cups of your soaked raw almonds. Put that in a blender, preferably like a Blendtec, and then a pinch of Himalayan salt, 85, minerals in it. And then just start with about a cup of water, and preferably alkaline water or Fuji water if you don't have an alkaline machine or access to it. Fuji water at 7.5. And then just keep adding to that. It may top out that 3 or 4 cups.
Right, and if you were listening to previous shows, you know where to get one of those alkaline water machines. So.
Yes. And I didn't bring the number with me today, but you can send me an email at kingdomofhealing4you@yahoo.com, and I'll send you some information on how to get that. And okay, so 14, alcohol. A 14-year study, it showed more than 200,000 that drank one or more glasses daily had a 30% increase in breast cancer. Cancer compared to women who didn't drink, they compared this to women who didn't drink at all, and so there was a 30% increase in that. Also problems with cancer of the mouth, liver cancer, esophagus, colon rectal cancers. So 27 studies have been reviewed before publishing the results of a 14-year study. So 15 is red meat. If you're not purchasing grass-fed, free-range meat, you're taking in genetically modified food in the sense that that's what was fed to a cow.
Right.
So,
see, and that's what Proposition 105 is trying to tell you, that they're not really GMO, so we shouldn't have to label them. But, that's not what they're saying. But if you start out with that seed and the cow eats
their food,
and you eat the cow, well, you just,
Yeah. Because a lot of them are hay-fed, they're hay-fed, and then, they get to a certain weight, and then they go over to the feedlot. The feedlot, they're still getting hay, but they're getting lots of corn. Lots and lots of corn.
And that
molasses.
Corn is differently grown.
Oh, it's the feed corn.
It's the feed corn. It's not what we eat.
Right,
corn.
but the feed corn is GMO for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Count on that.
Absolutely. Unless you are, and people who raise naturally raised beef, they don't, or buffalo, for that matter, they're grass-fed. And they're grass-fed on a native grass that is not crop-dusted.
Right.
So the meat, and it takes longer. It takes longer to feed out an animal that is just grass-fed. So it's it's worth more money to the ranchers to feed them the corn and everything and fatten them up really, really quick, because there's 6 to 8 months that they can get their money sooner. When they're raising beef.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So the thing is that it's not only the GMO grains, but they give them a lot of inoculations. Is another thing.
That is true.
And there's a lot of antibiotics that are in the feed because they're all kept in close quarters, and try by a feedlot. It's like, wow. They stink. It's just it's terrible.
Oh yeah.
The smell enough is enough to let you know that this is bad. This is bad, and that's going to be sold at the grocery store. So, yeah. The other thing too is that look at how they're just in that confinement. How do you feel when you're confined? Your adrenals are just firing off, that adrenaline is just going out there into your muscles, just like it does with the animals. And so you've got all that adrenaline from this animal that is pumped all throughout their muscles. So
And that makes the meat tougher.
it makes it tougher. Yes, it does. Plus, it's like doing a glandular, a protomorphogen, which, like is to like. So, you have thyroid glandular, adrenal glandular, pancreatic, pancreas glandular, liver glandular. They have that chemical makeup that when you take that in, it seeks it out in the body, and it goes directly to, a thyroid glandular goes directly to the thyroid. Liver glandular goes directly to the liver. And, it has the nutrients, the chemical structure to help in the aiding of feeding and rebuilding. But the body is also at that point pretty much functioning off of that, while your gland is resting and healing and building back up. So you do, you can do, kelp and Irish moss, things like that, to alfalfa, to feed the glands, to help initiate, the healing, as well, to work with, synergistically to work with the glandular. So, but the thing is that this is like an excess of adrenaline. So if that adrenaline is in the meat, and we take it in, and we digest it, and then that excess makes its way into our bloodstream, it's exhausting to our adrenal glands over a period of time because of all of this adrenaline that's being picked up in the meat.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so, it's another reason for, you've got to think it through on the process with the food. And then sometimes you get so much information that you find out that you're really doing a lot of thinking, It really frustrates people around you. It does. It's like, okay, well, all right. You just kind of blew it. That's what I was kind of thinking about. So, one thing that is, there's the adrenaline. So that's like hormone poisoning in the meat. And it's this adrenaline that I'm talking about. It actually then, since it's a hormone, then it creates an imbalance. It's such an excess that creates an imbalance with the rest of the endocrine system, where all of the hormones. Okay, so what ends up happening is that's one of the contributing factors to, breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, cancer of the glandular system, thyroid, adrenals, ovaries, testes. Okay, so that's, you've got to take a look at what your consumption of red meat is that is commercially finished out. See, so
gotcha.
Okay. So it's it's really so much better. Everybody listening, I know everybody listening has a grocery store, or a Whole Foods, or a Sprouts, or maybe it's great like it is in Denver, where all the grocery stores have they all sell organic produce, and they do have aisles with natural food items and stuff. And so, it's pay the extra. Pay attention to the circulars, the weekly circulars. Whatever meats are on sale.
Right.
Buy those. Buy those meats that are on sale. Buy plenty of it. Double wrap them, mark them clearly, put them in the freezer.
There you go.
And do it that way, because they're $2 or $3 a pound more. And so, you've got to find it when it's on sale. It's not like the produce end of it. Certified organic produce can be 10 cents, like bananas, can be 10 cents more. Spinach might be 50 cents more. Kale might be 50 cents more. So it's really, from a produce standpoint, it's really not that much more. Don't buy some of the other stuff that you're not paying so much attention about. They're usually pretty costly items.
Right.
The prepared, the prepackaged.
Sure. They're doing the work for you.
They're doing the work for you, but you're also paying for that convenience.
Right.
So the cost of buying those types of foods,
but then
in
you
the
got
long
all
run,
the
they cost
preservatives,
more.
the additives,
That's right,
all
and
the
they-
other stuff that you really don't want
and they
or
do
need.
cost more than you planning it out, having a plan, doing some research, and feeding your family well. It's really not that much more expensive. You'll get into the expense with your meat, fish, poultry. Okay, but your meat should be grass-fed, your poultry should be free-range, your fish should be wild-caught, not farm-raised. So, and buy those things on sale, and just think ahead on it, so that you start getting an accumulation of what you need. So, okay, and then the other thing I want to say about grass-fed beef, it's extremely high in linolenic acid, which is a natural anti-cancer. So that linolenic acid, conjugated linolenic acid, is in much higher, really high amounts in grass-fed beef. Okay. So that actually makes it good for the cardiovascular system. And look at all the heart disease. But look at all the heart disease and the consumption of beef with the antibiotics. Look at the antibiotic resistance.
True.
That's out there. A lot of people, antibiotics just don't work as good as they used to on them. When you're really, really careful with your diet, we take care of everything with herbs at my house. But you know what? There is a time and a place for medicine.
Right.
And
yeah.
Every once in a while, hey, I need to go to a little bit of the white man's medicine. So that just happens. But it's not often. It's extremely rare. It's profoundly rare.
Right.
But hey, when you need them, when I need them, I need them. Right. So.
Yeah, I haven't been one since 2005. But hey, I'm sure once I need one, I might,
Yeah. Okay, so the grass-fed beef, higher in linolenic acid, and it actually, it's an anti-cancer linolenic acid. So, and that occurs naturally in the grass-fed beef or buffalo. Then soda pop. Everybody's favorite out there. Jeez, I pull in to get gas, and people run in and they come out with these half-gallon size drinks. And it's whoa, it's just the carbonation, the carbonic acid. It's just all that bubbly through the veins and arteries and your organs is not good. Number one, it's not, and then you have where they are completely, totally loaded with sugar, artificial colors, artificial flavors, caramel coloring. And I had talked about, not too long ago on one of the shows, some of the different beverages that have caramel in them.
Right. Pepsi and Coke being the...
Mm-hmm.
But Pepsi was the worst, right?
Yeah, Pepsi was the worst. And Coke actually stopped right before the line on the graph. I mean, it's bad, but
it don't go beyond the line.
It's that grass thing. It's that grass thing,
Right.
Yeah, it's like it's just a little toxic.
Just a tiny thing.
It's not great big toxic. So, then in the breakdown of it, it's carcinogenic. So water pops on that pH scale is about a 4. A 3.5 is death. 2.0 is those energy drinks though. 2.0, and it's like the emergency rooms. They're busy daily with 24-hour periods of time.
I
With
had
everybody
to
slamming them babies down.
I had to restrict my daughter in high school from Monster drinks. She was getting to that point where it was out of control. Honestly, we almost had to take her to the hospital. And that's when I was like, no more.
Yeah, the energy drinks are causing a lot of that. But when you look at that pH scale, and there are 2.
And 3.5.
And 3.5 is death, and 6.0 and below is, you're brewing something up. 6.0, you're better. You're just, but your body's going there.
Right.
It's easier to start, immediately and get a handle on it. The alkaline water is it's just one of the fastest ways to bring your pH up, and disease and bacteria does not, viruses do not thrive in an environment of 7.5 or above. But the other thing that's really, really important is, you need to be at 7.0 to 7.5 to uptake any of the nutrition and supplements that you take, and to get any of the nutrient value out of the foods that you're eating. So it is really very, very important to know what your pH is. So, the carbonic acid, which is what causes the bubbles in the pops, is really, really bad as it goes throughout the system and into the organs. So, commercial purified water, average 5.5 on the pH scale, which is not good. So, not only these other things that are too acidic to really build any health in your body, and actually works against you when you consume too much of it. But back to the pop, the amount of sugar, all of the artificial things that are put in that, its chemical equation breakdown into your body has things that are carcinogenic as well. So I want to go to a couple of the ballot issues that are that people are going to be voting on. That everyone if your state has something on the ballot for labeling of the GMO foods. A lot of propaganda that's going on right now is with the commercials, and hey, a lot of people think, if they're going to spend all those millions on that commercial, they're telling you the truth. Why would they want to? Why would they waste your time and lie to you and spend all that money? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's they'll spend the money in mine.
Right.
And we know that. I mean, come on. We all know that. It's an election time, and so election year, the baloney starts early, and it's real deep right now,
right?
Because we're just right around the corner. So, California has Proposition 37. Colorado has, California's is Proposition 37, and Colorado's is Proposition 105. And so, Oregon had one, and the thing is that the citizens of Oregon voted against it, and so that was just something with their with their legislation and a vote to the people. So I guess it didn't end up. It didn't end up on their ballot because.
Must not have got enough signatures, or what?
No, I think that they voted it down.
Okay.
They voted it down where Colorado, it became part of
The ballot,
part of the ballot initiatives that were, that were cast for everybody to vote on, I just want to say, I really hope that everybody is registered to vote, and that you do get out there and vote, because it is important. You meet a lot of people that don't want to do it. They say, forget it, it doesn't matter. But, my opinion is, and really it's just my opinion, is that if you don't vote, I don't want to hear you complain.
Right? Well, that's the way it should be.
You lose the ability to, gripe about, how things went.
Exactly. Exactly.
So this Proposition 37 with California, and there's 20 states. There's 20 states that are going to have on the ballot to cast your vote for GMO labeling or not to. So in Colorado, Proposition 105, you want to vote yes. Not what the commercials are saying, and not with the people that are involved with GMO. So, the thing here that was really such a eye-opener here was the manufacturers, that a lot of them out there that you would never, ever believe that they would support and pour all this money into the campaign against GMO labeling. And a lot of them are really well known. These are like natural products that are owned by corporations.
Okay.
So behind a lot of corporations that, have lots and lots of shelf space in the grocery stores that are full of sugar and flavorings and GMO grains. So a lot of those companies, they own a lot of there's a good handful of ones that you find on the natural foods aisle, you find in the health food stores. And it was really amazing. So one of them, to start out, and it's just terrible because their products were just so wonderful for so many years. Of course, until they sold out, and that's Burt's Bees. Bert, can you believe what they're doing? I'm sure he cannot. So. Love the product, used it for years, sold it in my health food store.
Okay.
Introduced Burt's Bees to the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri when I had my Osage Organics health food store. They weren't really interested in it. And, but Burt's Bees, they're now owned by Johnson & Johnson. And when Johnson & Johnson bought them, that's when I quit purchasing them.
Okay.
But luckily I have this wonderful friend in western Nebraska, Laura, and Double L Goat Dairy. Double L Countries. Laura's, there we go. I don't have it written down anywhere. Okay, Laura's Double L Country Store. .com. And she has all kinds of stuff she makes from her goat herd, and you can literally eat her products. Laura Welchel. So okay, so we've got here on this list of people here, companies, Burt's Bees, Wolfgang Puck.
Really?
Yeah, you see a lot of his stuff on the shelves.
Right?
I've never bought it. It's
No, I
it's
never
all in a
either. But
can.
I mean, he's a huge name.
Yeah, and I don't buy it because it's in a can. Plum Organics, they're owned by Campbell's Soup. Plum Organics, and these are companies that have put money into funding this campaign
No on 102.
for you to vote no
Okay.
on the GMO labeling.
Okay.
So, it's just shocking that money from Johnson & Johnson has been put into this campaign against labeling, GMO labeling, and they've put this money into it and used Burt's Bees' name, and
So I wonder how much money Johnson & Johnson actually got from Monsanto.
well, Monsanto, of course, is at the they're the king of this. They're at the top of it. They're the ones who, I'm sure we're all behind the initiation, of this whole thing to go against it. And Monsanto, so far in the campaign against GMO labeling, they've already put in $8.8 million.
Compared to
Well, 8.8 million, the most. DuPont has put in 7.6 million.
okay,
And then Simply Orange.
Simply Orange. Oh, okay.
Simply Orange. I mean, come on. They're owned by Coca-Cola. So $2.5 million has been donated to the campaign against GMO labeling in the name of Simply Orange, who is owned by Coca-Cola. And Naked Juice.
Who's
Come on. Naked Juice and the Adewale, who does the and I love him on the run, but I won't be buying them anymore.
I wonder why they would want you to vote no.
Well, the thing is that they're owned by a corporation. These are natural products that we've become familiar. We have all
Sure, household
become-
item names.
That's
I
right.
mean,
We've become familiar with, and we use.
for generations.
And then we find out, who's behind owning them. And so, Naked Juice is owned by Pepsi. And $3 million from Pepsi, or Naked Juice is fun. I mean, come on, that's a big company.
Right.
I mean, they do and now it's like they do the maybe organic juices, fruits and vegetables that go into their juices. And, what I liked about it is, you split, you leave the house, I forget my alkaline water, you're thirsty, run in somewhere, everybody's filling up, the Monster Beasts with pop, and I'm looking for Naked Juice or a Adewale. Or I love it though when I always buy something if it's made in Boulder, because
Okay.
it supports Colorado. It
Right.
supports a small company.
All right.
And supports a like thinker. And one thing that's really, really cool is the companies who have stood up for labeling and has put money into the fund for that. $88,500 is Boulder Brands. So Boulder Brands is staying right there in the fight with, wanting the GMO labeling. So,
Oh, right on.
but some of these other ones, I mean, just really, please get a piece of paper and a pen and write this down. Because, as you're trying to feed your family healthier, you need to write down the names of these companies. These are companies that support, no GMO labeling. They don't want you to know. And GMO foods, there is double-blind studies going on in labs. They're doing tests in labs. There's other countries other than the United States who are doing research on GMO foods, and there is enough information already that you don't want to feed your family these foods.
Look at all the countries that have already banned it, burned their crops.
Exactly.
And said, and shipped it back to the United States and said, oh, hell no.
Right. You know, they don't want the labeling because, stop and think about it. Does it get to have a red circle with a red line through it that says GMO? Does that get to be the, plastered on all the food that has it? And it's or the food that doesn't have it. Food that doesn't have it, we get to have that, and then the ones that do have it, it needs to be more like a radiation emblem that says GMO.
Right.
So it's some type of a toxic emblem, and that there's stuff, everything should be marked, but write this down. Okay, so Burt's Bees, they've put money into it. A company called, Grown Right. Off the top, I've never heard of them, but they could be big in another state.
Right.
And Wolfgang Puck, his line. Burt's Bees, now owned by Johnson & Johnson. Plum Organics, they're owned by Campbell Soup. Okay, get this one. Horizon Organics.
Really?
It was like, wow.
That kind of one makes sense, though. That one kind of makes sense to me why they would do that. But hey,
really?
Whatever.
Horizon Organics.
Yeah, you know what? That just makes me say that name's bullshit. But okay, fine.
I just thought they had more integrity than that.
Yeah. Well, that just shows you now.
Well, and then Silk. Silk brand. They also are against GMO labeling, and this blew my mind. So I won't be buying their product anymore either. Earthbound Farms.
Earthbound Farms.
The organic field green spring mix, the organic spinach.
Oh, really?
Already cleaned and everything, and then I wash it in my low acidic alkaline water to make sure it's clean, and then put it in a high alkaline bath and let it sit, and I won't be buying their products anymore. Sweet Leaf Tea brand. Come on. Gerber Foods. Well, they've really never touted natural, but I think they have natural, maybe. Now, they might be saying.
Oh, well, they have a McDonald's Big Mac Gerber baby food now.
What?
I shit you not, man.
What's that about?
Yeah, that's what I...
You mean in a
baby
jar?
In a baby jar.
In a jar. They've got a pureed
pretty much.
Big Mac.
Yeah, that's what they advertise it as.
Wow, well, go on YouTube and check out some of their stuff with their food.
Right, and McDonald's been going on this big old push here lately, trying to, prove that their meat ain't as bad as what it's being shown online.
Yeah, well, hey, they can just, too bad. Too bad, so sad. Cargill. Well, we knew Cargill would be involved.
Right.
That was no surprise to me. They put in $250,000. McCormick Spices, $130,000 in the campaign against GMO labeling. And McCormick Spices, they've been irradiating their spices for decades. They give them this 400, the radiation levels that are equivalent to 400 chest x-rays at once. And they've been exposing their spice line to that for decades.
Wow.
For decades.
Wow.
So... Let's see here. Bear Naked, the brand Bear Naked. They're owned by Kellogg. And $750,000 was put into the fund. My mind was blown when I read this. R.W. Knudsen family.
What?
I was
What?
speechless. It was like, what?
That breaks my heart right there.
It does. And Amy's. Amy's Food. Amy's Food, they were just sold, Amy's was just sold just a couple months ago. General Foods bought them. It was like $860 million. You go, girl. Whoa. $860 million.
Hey, good for her.
Yeah. And so prior to General Foods buying Amy's, there was a contribution from Amy's in support of GMO labeling.
Okay.
Okay, so
before
Amy's
she sold it,
company, yes, before there was a contribution of $80,000 prior to selling the company that was in support and the campaign towards GMO labeling. However, since General Foods bought them, there's been contribution from General Foods into the against the GMO labeling. And this really blew my mind too, is that General Foods also owns Cascadian Farm.
Really?
They do the frozen organic produce. And Muir Glen, which they have garden canned items. Muir Glen. And MUIRGLEN. That company, they're owned by General Foods, and General Foods supports all of this movement and propaganda on trying to sway everybody, thinking it's too complicated for the GMO labeling. So we've got to have GMO labeling. The companies, if you don't have anything to hide, you don't have anything to worry about. I mean, come on. It's not that complicated. Don't think we're so stupid that it's got to be that way. If you don't have anything in there that's toxic to the human body, then don't worry about it.
Okay, so Burt's Bees was number 1 on the list?
Well, they're here as far as supporters.
So I wonder who was.
Against.
So Monsanto was kind of like snuck in there, right?
Well, no,
kind of like 3 to 4.
No, Monsanto. I guess if you're looking at it from a donation standpoint, then Monsanto's at the top. They're 8.8 that they've got in this fight.
Understood. Okay,
because
I just wanted to make sure that was right. Okay, I
yeah.
just wanted to make sure I was understanding right. So.
Yeah, they do not want GMO.
Well, no, not because of the deals that they've made. I mean, it's ridiculous. What the government has allowed Monsanto to push through.
Yeah. And then Similac, baby formula. Similac, contribution against GMO labeling.
See, why would that be? Why would that be?
$350,000.
See, that's quite a good little chunk right there.
Hey, and Kashi. Kashi was busted out a couple of years ago on, their cereals. Their cereals were made with GMO grains.
Uh-huh.
Well, guess what? Kashi is owned by Kellogg. And there was money on Kashi's behalf into the fund for all of this campaigning against GMO labeling. Larabar, Morningstar Farms.
Wow.
Land O'Lakes gave $1.6 million. Santa Cruz Organics. Welch's. Did I mention Welch's? 85. Wow. $85,000 for Welch's. You know, it's pretty sickening. Kraft Foods, that Ottawalla juice, Royal Blue Organics. You've seen their products. No, excuse me. Not Royal Blue Organics. I picked up my note, looked at the wrong paper. I'm sorry. Not Royal Blue Organics. So we got Naked Juice, Ottawalla, Simply Orange. They are all against GMO labeling. So some of the ones that are for labeling and who helped to bring this forward on getting this awareness out, and these are the companies that have put money in for campaigning for manufacturers for labeling.
Okay.
You know, to let us know what is GMO products. And Center for Food Safety is a big one, and Consumer Reports has been part of the campaign for GMO labeling. Dr. Bonner's Magic Soap, you know, $1.5 million.
Wow.
They've put in. Organic Consumers, you know, that's an education, and
Right.
that's, you know, grassroots. That's a grassroots organization. They, for you know, GMO labeling, and they've contributed $805,000. Boulder Brands, out of Boulder, Colorado, they have contributed $88,000. And then, you know, when you're at the store, you know, you want to buy GMO free grains and mixes. Bob's Red Mill, they've taken a stand as well, and they have been big contributors to GMO labeling. And Celestial Seasonings,
Good for them.
of course.
Good for
Boulder,
them.
Boulder, Colorado, Celestial Seasonings. Haynes Foods, a subsidiary of Celestial Seasonings. They've been, you know, contributors as well. Applegate Foods, Nutiva, So Delicious. So these are companies, you know, when you see their products, you want to support them.
Right.
You want to
right.
support
Most
these.
definitely.
You want to support these companies. So Dr. Bonner's, Boulder Brands, Bob's Red Mill products, and I think every grocery store has that. Did it just run out?
No, we're at. Yeah, well, okay, so, yes, we may want to get things going and wrap up, and we'll...
Okay, all right. I think what we're going to have to do is continue this on the next show, and this is Kingdom of Healing. You're listening to Kimberly Mateo, and see you on the next show.